You've heard the old saying, red sky at night, sailor's delight. Red sky in the morning, sailors take warning. That goes for tree workers too. And when the rains come, God, we need them too. We got to work out in that weather. We have to deal with some storms. We have to deal with some rain. We have to deal with some outdoor wet conditions that a lot of people just kind of take for granted. You know, those of you folks that work indoors don't really know the challenges that we have to put up with sometimes. But in this drought, I'm willing to live with it. Bring on the rain.
I've got a very dead, very dangerous alder tree to remove on this particular job, and I wasn't about to climb it. If you know anything about alder trees, when they get rotten, they snap. Sometimes they snap at the base, sometimes they snap at a big decay pocket. And what I'm doing here is looking at the base first, which you should always do when you're getting up into a tree. Always do a base crown inspection to see if you see anything out of the ordinary. So let me show you what I found that really scared me. I'm using a ladder on this because I don't want to put my weight in the tree, but look at this area of decay that goes all the way around the trunk of this tree. All the way. And those rot spots may go to the center of the tree. I'm assuming they do. And it also has a lot of drying out cracking. The tree still has a little tiny bit of life in it, but for the most part, it's a goner. And like I said, alder trees are really dangerous. So we opted to make some interesting moves here, and we had a lot to break. I mean, just look at that boxwood hedge there. If we damaged that, could you imagine that, the cost of fixing it? There's a slow motion of Jorge's shot with the throw ball. We opted to put a rope up there, and I went up the ladder and took one side at a time. A drop, if I tried to drop the whole thing, it would have taken out these trees or damaged that fence or smashed the lawn or any number of things. So I'm trying to do this with minimal damage. I guess we could have got a crane in there, but that would have added a significant amount of money to the job. And it's not a huge tree. I mean, we were done with this thing. We had the whole thing on the ground within an hour. Oh, this is interesting. Look at this pear. I'll show you what we did to that at the end. So here we got a situation where I'm tied into I tied the ladder to the tree. I'm tied into the tree as well, but the pressure's all on the ladder. I'm not leaning on the tree. I've got the ladder straight up and down. So Jorge's over there pulling on this one. I cut it up high enough so that it was interesting. So as soon as I started cutting, it broke. And didn't break anything, so that was not too bad. So now we have the second part of the job to do. We got to get the big piece down.
Good shot. Good shot. Good shot. And it even came over on this side.
Yeah. This is how you tie a rope on. When you put the throw ball up there, you tie a couple of clove hitches on in such a way that it pulls it up without any knots. You don't want a knot in there to hang up in a crotch. You want it to pull through as straight as possible. And you don't just use a single clove hitch, you back it up at least one or two further down. So we got this all set up, and it took a lot of thinking about how high I should cut it, where I should cut it, where this top piece was going to drop. And frankly, it was kind of sketchy. I didn't feel very comfortable up here at all. So I am tied to the tree. I don't want to fall backwards. I'm sitting up on top of the ladder, so I am prepared, though, thinking that if anything starts to go, I'm going to untie and shoot down the ladder as fast as I can. Now, if you can note the direction of the lean, it's going outward, and that's why I've got the rope on there for him to pull it in the right direction. Even with a wedge in here, I couldn't get it to go the right way without the wedge. So, and then from the back side, and perfect. See, we could have, if I would have gone any further, we could have taken out the trees over there. Here's a little bit of a different perspective on it. I don't use my GoPro often enough, but I thought about it today, so I clipped it to my helmet. I'm not very good at the GoPro. I don't really think about it, and I rarely
Ready?
have a camera operator. So everything I do, I'm thinking about the job first, but I'm trying to keep in the back of my mind. Well, get a good shot. Let's see what we can do. I'll be honest. This was kind of nerve-wracking. I didn't feel very good about this. You notice I've got the ladder almost straight up and down. I'm not putting any pressure on the tree, but I've still got to keep myself from falling off the ladder. The tree was far enough away where a bucket wouldn't reach it. I guess the other option would have been, like I said, a crane, but the size of the tree, it just didn't warrant it. So this is my perspective. This is what it's like for me up in the tree.
Ready?
There's no way in hell I was going to climb this
thing.
Don't
pull it with me on it yet.
Getting a really good face cut is very important. You don't want to overcut. You want the points to match up and have it be a clean cut. Clean it out just a little bit on the backside there. I didn't quite catch that. But then I'm coming in from the backside, and I looked over at Jorge. I knew he was ready for me. And it went perfect. Didn't break anything. I was also aware that I didn't want to beat up the lawn.
Couldn't have gone better. Damn. Worked out good. A little nerve-wracking.
If you've seen some of my earlier videos, there's one that I've got from quite a few years back where another friend of mine who owned another tree service had one of his guys go up an alder tree that was rotted at the base, and it cracked, and the guy went down with the tree, fell 40 feet in a big arc, landed on the ground, and it killed him. So in the back of my mind, I went out there and I inspected that whole situation after the fact. So alder trees, they just they scare me. It's important to recognize the strengths and weaknesses of the individual species that you're working on. So I had the guys prep this to minimize the damage to the lawn, because I just wanted to flop this trunk. So I put a couple of pieces of wood up because there was a brick border right there. So I had to bridge that. And damn roses are all over the place. So I cut a few of those out. So they kept snagging me. So I did not cut a face cut on this one because I didn't want it to hit the ground and go sliding down and tear up the lawn or take out the fence. So the first thing I want to do is get rid of this side piece. That wasn't too hard. Didn't want that to dig a hole in the lawn, so I cut it in such a way where it wouldn't create a big divot in the lawn. And then I opted to go use that piece as part of the cushion, because I've got a big pile of brush where the end of this is going to land. But it's a little bit of extra. It's heavier than it looks. There's still a fair amount of moisture in here, but there was a lot of really bad rotten spots. So I'm going to cut up from the back side here and leave some wood in the front. And as dry and brittle as this is, it's kind of touch and go how much wood you leave for it to hold up. Because what I'm trying to do is I want to flop this onto the ground, but I want the wood at the base of the tree to hang up somewhat so that it doesn't go sliding, because I'm on a slope here. So if I cut it all the way through and it just broke loose, it would hit these pieces of wood and then go sliding down, and either run a big divot in the lawn or possibly slide all the way down and hit the fence. You'll see it just stayed right at the trunk because I left about 2 inches of wood. I love that new 500. That thing, the electronic ignition and good sharp chain, that thing just cuts off so nice, so fast. Like I say, sometimes I wish I had a cameraman. I have to think about it. There you can see the wood that I left hanging on that so that it wouldn't hit the fence. And here we are near the end of the job. We had this fence right here, so we had to lift everything up and over. This is interesting. Look at that cut there. That is bad. And here's that pear tree that I was talking about. We had to bring a lot of weight down on it because it was really, really loose. And at the end of the day, here's all the obstacles I had to avoid. I had to keep from hitting those bricks. You can see how dried out and rotted it is in the base. But I was surprised. I expected it to be really, really bad, but you never know. And no divots, no holes in the lawn, fence is intact, and we didn't break the trees. Thanks for watching.